Have you ever looked at a blueprint, one of those black and white drawings, and just tried to imagine what it would actually feel like to stand in that room? Well, what if you didn't have to imagine? What if you could literally walk through a building, feel its size, and watch the light change throughout the day, all before a single brick was ever laid? Okay, let's dive into this, because today we're exploring the absolutely incredible world of VR architectural walkthroughs. This quote from Express Rendering really hits the nail on the head. For decades, the floor plan has been the language of architecture. And sure, it's precise, it's technical. But for most of us, for the rest of us who aren't architects, it can feel like trying to read a foreign language. It tells you the dimensions, yeah, but it absolutely can't tell you how a space feels. And that right there is the core of the problem, this translation gap. You look at a 2D plan and all these questions just start popping in your head. How high is that ceiling really going to feel? Will that kitchen island make the whole room feel cramped? Is there actually going to be enough sunlight coming through that window in the afternoon? A flat drawing just can't give you those answers in a way your brain can instantly get. So yeah, that brings us to the big question here. How do we get past the blueprint's blind spots? How do we create a true sense of being there, a real understanding for everyone on the project, from the person paying for it to the person building it? I know, this question sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But it's not. This is exactly what virtual reality is making possible, like right now. It's the bridge we've been looking for. It's a way to step directly out of the architect's mind and into a tangible, explorable, digital version of the final space. So let's just put a name to it. What we're talking about is VR architectural visualization. Now, the key words here are immersive and one-to-one scale. This is not just some 360-degree photo. No way. This is putting on a headset and actually feeling the true height of a ceiling, the width of a hallway, as if you were physically standing right there. That is what gives you genuine spatial understanding. So how does all this magic actually happen? I mean, it's not as simple as just clicking a Make VR button. There's a pretty sophisticated professional workflow that turns a technical drawing into an interactive world. Let's break down how it all comes together. At its core, the whole process really boils down to 4 main steps. First, the architects create a super detailed 3D model. Then they take that model and import it into a specialized VR software platform. In there, it gets all dressed up with realistic materials, textures, and lighting to really bring it to life. And then, for the final step, the client or the design team just puts on a headset and steps inside. Now, this whole thing often starts with something called a BIM file, which stands for Building Information Modeling. And you've got to understand, this is so much more than just a 3D model. It's more like a database. Every single element, every wall, every window, every pipe contains tons of information about its materials, its cost, its specs. This makes the VR model not just a visual tool, but a totally interactive data environment. It's pretty smart stuff. And as you can probably guess, the pros use some seriously powerful tools for this. You're looking at a few of the industry leaders right here. You've got Autodesk Workshop XR, which is about £86 a month. Then there's Iris VR Prospect, a real favorite for design firms. That's around $150 per user per month. And the Wild, which is awesome for teams using tools like Revit or SketchUp, comes in at about $295 a month. So yeah, this is enterprise-level software for a reason. It's built to handle absolutely massive, complex models. Now, with that kind of professional investment, you can bet there are some powerful business reasons to use it. And one of the biggest is in real estate, where developers are now selling entire buildings before the construction crew even shows up. And this really gets to the heart of it. A VR tour lets a potential buyer form an actual emotional connection with a place that doesn't even exist yet. They can walk out onto a virtual balcony, check out the view, and truly imagine their life there. That feeling, that connection, is an incredibly powerful sales tool that just speeds everything up. And we've got the data to prove it. Check this out. Properties that are showcased with immersive tools, like VR, well, they've been shown to sell up to 35% faster. In a fast-moving market, that is a huge competitive advantage. And it doesn't stop there. Get this. Those same properties see an average increase in viewings of a staggering 87%. I mean, think about it. By making the property accessible to anyone, anywhere in the world, VR just massively blows up the potential pool of buyers. Okay, so multi-million-dollar condo towers are one thing. But what about the rest of us, right? Well, the really exciting news is that this technology is not just for big developers anymore. It's actually becoming accessible for personal projects too. So the question a lot of you are probably asking is, can I use this for my own kitchen remodel? Or to finally figure out that home extension I've been dreaming about? And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. So let's look at some of the tools that are making this possible for everybody. Here are a few consumer-friendly apps. You've got Planner 5D, which is awesome for interior design mockups, and it even has a free version. Live Tour lets you create tours with just your smartphone, and it starts at only $5 a month. And Live Home 3D is for more detailed models, and it's a one-time purchase. These apps are designed for you and me, not just architects. So look, whether it's a huge commercial project or a small home renovation, the ultimate benefit of using VR is exactly the same. It leads to better outcomes, fewer headaches, and happier people. Let's look at what those tangible results really look like. A key concept here is something called spatial issues, or what engineers call clashes. On a 2D blueprint, it is incredibly difficult to spot that, say, a ventilation duct is on a collision course with a structural beam. It just gets lost in all the lines. But when you're standing inside the model in VR, at a one-to-one scale, these kinds of expensive, delay-causing errors become, well, glaringly obvious. You literally can't miss them. And catching those errors early, it has a massive impact. Industry studies have documented some incredible efficiency gains. Just look at this. Using VR can lead to a 10% reduction in design time and even a 7% reduction in the overall construction time. For any project, that translates to significant savings in both time and, of course, money. So when you put it all together, the value of VR in design is just undeniable. It cuts down on those super expensive changes late in the game. It helps clients make decisions way faster and with a lot more confidence. It gives everyone, from the investor to the electrician, a shared, clear understanding of the space. And maybe most importantly, it creates a common language that just drastically improves communication for the whole team. So this leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. I mean, we have spent centuries designing our world with flat 2D drawings. Now, for the first time in history, we can actually inhabit our creations, we can test them and perfect them before they ever become physical. As this tech becomes the new normal, you just have to wonder, how is this ability to pre-experience our designs going to change not just how we build, but the very nature of the spaces we choose to live and work in?